So today we're going to focus on creating those activities that are going to support our students' communication within the classroom or whatever setting that we're supporting them in. And I'm going to show you a variety of ways that we can do this, whilst also focusing on some of the key editing skills within Boardmaker 7. For those of you that don't currently have access to Boardmaker 7, a little reminder that you can sign up for a free trial. We will pop a link in the chat right now for you to sign up for a trial if you would like access. So as mentioned, I'm going to show you a couple of different ways in which we can create some resources. And today I'm going to start off by showing you how we create something from scratch. So here you can see I've got my Boardmaker 7 editor open. So this is kind of one of the components of Boardmaker. We've got the editor, the My Boardmaker website and the Student Centre. And today mostly we're going to be focusing on the editor here. So I've opened this up and you can see here I've got a couple of options. It's showing me my most recent activities. So if I wanted to kind of jump back into one that I've created recently, I can go into that. I can go to My Boardmaker, which will show me all of my activities that I've created. So maybe I want to go back and find one. But for now, we're going to go to New. And this is going to open up my template picker. But the very first option here on the top left hand is blank. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to create an activity straight from blank. And here I can choose how I want that activity to look. So whether it's an interactive one or a print. I'm going to go for print. I'm going to go for landscape because that kind of suits how I'm going to make this activity. I'm going to close this pages panel, but we will come back to it later on. I just want the screen to be slightly bigger for you. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I want to make a grid so that I can fill in my activity. So what I'm going to create right now is some PECS cards. So let's say I'm supporting some students that are using PECS, and I just want to create some new cards for them, whether it's some different ones or some replacement ones. And so I'm just going to show you a quick way of doing that. So the very first thing that I want to do is I'm going to use this button tool up here. I'm going to select that and I'm just going to bring my cursor to my blank page. I'm just going to click and drag to create a button, and I can make it as big as small as I want to. Next thing, I want to make that into a grid. Rather than creating, let's say 9 different buttons, I can use this really handy spray tool here. So if I click on the spray tool and then bring my cursor to the center of that button that I've just created, I'm just going to click and hold and then drag, and I can now create a grid of as many or as few buttons as I want. I'm just going to go for 9, and when I let go, I've now created that grid. Now I can do a couple of things. I can move that grid around. I can actually resize it. So if I want to make it as big as possible, or maybe I want to resize it so the buttons are a bit smaller, I'm going to make it nice and big so that we can see it today. So now I've created that grid, I want to be able to fill that in. So I'm just going to click out here and just select the very first button that I want to fill in. And I'm now going to use what's called edit in place. And so simply all I need to do is type in the word that I'm looking for. So I'm going to start off with ball, and I'm just going to hit enter on my keyboard. And now it's going to open up this symbol finder. So this is basically going to help me to find the symbol or indeed the image that I want to use for this resource. So I'm going to talk you through kind of what's here, because there's lots of different things going on that help us kind of filter and find exactly what we need. So the first thing is we can choose what type of image we want. So the default is going to be symbol. But if I come across, I can choose my media. And what this will do is it will allow me to bring in a picture from my computer. So let's say that the student that I'm working with has a very specific ball that they like to play with. And rather than using a symbol or generic photo, I'd like to actually use a picture of that ball. So what I can do here is I can see I've not actually got that image here, but I'd like to bring it in. So there's a couple of ways I can do it. I can actually just bring it in from my file. So if I just come here, it's just going to allow me to find it on my computer and bring it in. But let's say that I know that I'm going to need to use this picture over and over again. And rather than bringing it in from my computer every time, I'd actually like to add it to my media, which means that it's going to be stored in my Boardmaker. So that actually wherever I use it, whichever computer I go to, it's going to be available. So I'm going to click on Add Media here. And what it will do, let's bring this over so you can see, is it's going to take me to the My Boardmaker website. And here I can go to my homepage. And there's a little tab here for my media. And what I can do here is I can come and upload this picture. I'm going to go to Choose Files. And I have got this picture ready. So this is the one that I want to use. I'm going to, I can give it a name. I can give it something specific. So it might be that it's Jack's ball. And I can put that in there. And then I'm going to click on Upload. And now I'm going to come back to my editor. I'm just going to cancel out of there. Come back to search for this ball. I'm going to click on my media. And you'll see now that that's available. So not only will I have it on this computer, but let's say I use a different computer next time and I want to access this ball, I'll have that available. So that will allow me to use that. The other thing that I can do is I can actually just pull a picture straight from the web. So it uses this integrated web search, and I can just come in and bring a picture from here. So let's just choose one of these, and that will bring it in. But let's say I actually just want to use symbols. So let's go and search for biscuit. So when we're looking at symbols, there's a couple of different things that allow us to kind of either filter the search that we're looking for, or kind of personalize kind of how we want this to look. So the first thing that I can do is I can actually search for that word more specifically. So here at the moment we've got it highlighted, so we're looking for anything that's got the word biscuit in it. But if I click on begins with, it's only going to show me something that begins with biscuit. I might just be looking for whole word or something that ends with. So that will help me a little bit to kind of find that. The other thing that I can do, so if I click on these little filters here on the right hand side, is I can choose how I want that symbol to look. So let's say I maybe prefer to have a black and white symbol. I can come in and I can apply that there. And now I've just got black and white. And finally, what I can do is if I click on this little magnifying glass here, I can also do things like search for a pattern, so something that looks like biscuit or sounds like biscuit. I don't know what this is going to come up with. I've probably not come up with the best example in terms of the word, but it will give you an idea of, let's say you want to do rhyming words or things like that. Using this filter will really help. So I'm just going to come back into colour because I'd like to use colour symbols for this one. And you'll see that once I've selected my symbol, it's just going to automatically highlight the next cell. So I can just start typing again, find that symbol that I'm looking for, and select it. So once I get the hang of it, it actually means that I can start doing things fairly quickly. Something to make note of as I carry on filling this in is that yesterday we talked about the different types of symbols that are available. So we've got things like the PCS Classics, which are the kind of the bolder symbols, and then we've got the high contrast symbols, and then we've got the thin line symbols that are a little bit more detailed. So it's worth thinking about those when we're having a look and seeing what will suit our students the best. And I will show you in a second how we can make it easier to find the ones that we're looking for. I'm just going to fill in the last couple of ones here. So we've got milk, and let's go for juice. Okay, so now I've got my grid filled in, and I've got all the symbols that I need. There's a couple of different things that I can do to kind of personalize this further. So I'm going to show you this properties panel on the right hand side. So this is going to allow us to kind of change the way that this looks. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to come and highlight all of these symbols, because I'd like to change the font here. Hang on. There we go. Change the font. I'd like it to be a bit bigger, and I'd like it to look slightly different as well. So I'm going to come to this properties panel, scroll down, and there's a section for fonts here. So I'm going to actually change this to Comic Sans because I know that that's the font that the school use. I would like the words to be a bit bigger. I know that the student that I'm working with is quite interested in words, is just about beginning to start recognizing maybe some initial sounds because they're working really hard on the reading. So I would like these words to stand out a little bit. So I'm just going to change that. The other thing that I can do, of course, is change maybe the font color. So maybe we'd like to use a different color that maybe suits them a bit better. The other thing that I can do is I can change the background of these symbols. So when we were talking about high contrast symbols yesterday, we said that they work best on a black background. So if I wanted to do that, I could change that here. I'm going to leave this white for now. Another thing that I can do, if I just scroll back up to the top here, under where it says content, is I can actually change the way that the symbol and the text is displayed. So if I click on this little drop down menu here, it gives me different options. So the default will always be symbol and then label, but I can change it to the other way around. So we have label first and then symbol. We can even do it side by side if that's something that suits our learner. We could even at some point, if we needed it, we could do symbol only or maybe even text only. I'm going to leave it as this for now, but I just wanted to show you that that's another thing that we can do to personalize it a little bit. So the next thing that I want to do is talk a little bit about this pages panel up here. So if I just click on this little symbol, it's going to open up this pages panel. It shows me what page I've got, and I can do things like add a new page, but I want to show you how we can duplicate pages. So let's say that I want to make some more symbols, and of course I can go through that process again of creating the button and spreading the buttons out and making a grid. But to make it even quicker, what I'm going to do is just above this page here, there's 3 little dots, and I can click on duplicate, and it's just going to give me an exact copy of what I've just created. And I now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight all of these buttons, and I'm going to right click. And here you'll see there's a couple of different options under right click. So we can do things like alphabetize them. So if we wanted to put those symbols in order, we can shuffle those symbols around if we wanted them in a different order. But what I'm going to show you here is how we can clear the content. So what this is going to do is just keep all of that formatting, keep the buttons the exact same size as before, but it's just going to clear them so that I can come in and fill it in with something else. So I can start doing some more buttons. So you can see that it's keeping all of the same font and size that we did before, but it's just allowing me to create a new page. So this was creating from scratch and looking at making something like PECs. Of course, you can do lots of other things, but that was just the example that I wanted to give now. Before we move on to the next activity, I wanted to show you some user settings. So if I come up here whilst I'm in the editor to the top left-hand corner, where there's the 3 kind of lines, there's an option for user settings here. And what we can do here is we can change lots of different things, but oops, I don't know why that's come out. But I wanted to show you a couple of things that we normally get quite a lot of questions about. So the first things I'm going to show you under interface. So you'll have noticed when I opened up my page that I had the ruler across the top and the side. This was displayed in centimeters, but of course we can change that. So maybe those that work in inches as opposed to centimeters and want specific sizes, they can change that. The other thing that you can do is change the grid spacing. So what this means is the amount of space that there is between the buttons when we make a grid. So my spaces are quite small, but if I wanted to make that bigger, I could change that. And we can turn that ruler on and off as well. So those are a couple of things that we can do. The other thing that I wanted to show you, this actually comes from a question that Graham had earlier, but could be quite useful for everybody as well, is if I click on symbol and language, the first thing that comes up is a symbol management. And it basically shows me all of the different symbol libraries that are available. And so when I searched for my symbols, it basically showed me every single symbol that we've got available. But let's say that I am working solely with people with a learning disability and visual impairment, sorry. and I maybe only want high contrast symbols, or there's only, I only want to use, I don't know, sign language symbols, then what I can actually do is I can just specify which symbols I want available. So if you feel maybe that you've not got all symbols available, I would come into the user settings, symbol and language, and just check that you've got all of these ticked to make sure that you can have access to every single symbol available. The next thing that's really useful is the symbol search ordering. So what this will do is allow you to choose which order the symbols come up in the search results. So when I searched for my symbols earlier, the first symbols I was getting was the classic ones, and then I was getting thin line and high contrast. But like I was saying, if I'm working with somebody with a visual impairment, maybe the high contrast ones are going to be the first ones that I want to see. So what I can do is select that and move it up to the top of my order so that I make sure that those are the first ones and I don't have to search for them. The other thing that I can do is I can choose which type of symbol I want, so whether I want a stick figure, the eggheads, or a person to be my preference. I can also decide maybe which gender. So if I'm just solely working with a little boy, I maybe want to make sure that all of the people that come up are male. I can choose skin color, and I can also choose whether I'm working with a child, teen, or adult. And then also I can have my default as color or black and white. So these are definitely worth kind of exploring and kind of playing around a little bit to make sure that you can kind of find things as quickly as possible. So I've created this activity. So now I want to put these off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a PDF. And here it's going to prompt me to save my activity. So in order to create a PDF, I need to make sure that I have saved this activity. So I'm just going to save that. And then now it's going to go ahead and take me to the printing, the PDF page. I'm going to click create here, choose where I want to save it. I should save it onto my computer, and then it will open up as a PDF here, and I can choose whether I want to print that, share it, whatever I want to do with it. So a nice easy way of kind of creating and printing straight away. So next, I'm just going to reduce this because I've got a bar in the way there. So that's creating from scratch. So next I'm going to show you a couple of examples using templates. So we're going to go through the same process. We're going to click on the new button in our editor. And this time I'm going to use the template. So I'm going to stick with printable templates here. And as you can see on the left-hand side, we've got a whole bunch of different categories of templates that we can choose from. And I highly encourage you to explore some of these different templates. Today, I'm going to choose some from the communication tab. And the first one that I'm going to pick is just this communication board. And you can see that we've got loads of different varieties. So here we've got a communication board with loads of different grid sizes, and there's a couple of different options down there as well. So definitely recommend exploring them, but today I'm going to go for this one. So I'm going to hit create. And now it's going to open up and I've got this template ready. So I don't need to do any of the kind of formatting. I'm just going to go ahead here and fill it in. So I'm actually going to create a topic board here. So this is going to be something that we're going to use in school. And we're actually going to create one for swimming. So my class or the students that I work with go swimming, and we'd like to create some topic boards that they can use either on some swim boards or laminated on the side. And I'm going to show you a slightly different way of filling this in. So last time what we did is we just clicked, entered a search term and search for our symbol that way. This time I'm going to show you how to do it using the symbols tab on the right hand side. And what this will allow us to do is we can actually use these categories that will kind of give us some more options of symbols. So let's say that I maybe just want to look at some different symbols that I can use around the swimming, and I maybe can't think of them off the top of my head, or I'm just looking for a little bit of inspiration. So I can go through some of these categories and I can search for something that I'm looking for. So I can go into school and school actions, and it'll give me some different ideas. I know that I'm looking for swimming words, so I'm just actually going to search swimming here. And it's giving me a bunch of symbols, but it's also giving me a couple of categories. So I'm going to go to swimming actions. And here it's given me 69 different results for swimming actions. And all I can do here is I can just click and select a symbol that I want to use, drag it over to my communication board and let go. And now I'm just going to fill that in. And I can just keep going and select a few. And again, it's just a nice, really easy, quick way of filling in my communication board. So I'm just going to do a couple more. Let's see, so we might want to have float in there. Oops. Select that properly. And let's do one more. Let's go for jump. There we go. So you can see it's a nice, easy way of using categories to just click and drag and bring some symbols in. So a nice, quick way of doing that. So another thing that I want to do is I actually want to create a new page in here. And this time I can choose either I want to create a blank page, I can take another page from a template, so maybe I want to use a different template or something from an activity. I'm actually going to go for a template here, and this time I'm going to go to printable, and actually I want to create a behaviour support because our students really kind of benefit from using this first and then as we're getting ready for swimming. So I'm going to create one that can go in here and that we can fill in. So just a way of using different templates all within the same activity that can help support your students. So again, if I wanted to create that as a PDF, I could go ahead and print that off. If not, I can just go ahead and save this so that I can maybe come back and use it another time. So let's go swimming topic board. There we go. Okay, fantastic. So next, I'm just going to go back to my dashboard. And I'm going to go back and show you another template. So this time I'm going to go into new again, printable, and I'm going to show you how we can use the core word communication book that I talked about yesterday, and how we can edit that and personalize it so that we've got a robust communication book that our students can use. So again, I've gone into printable and communication. For those of you that don't have access and maybe waiting for your trial to get started, I'm going to get Charlotte to put a link in here where you can just download a ready-made version of this that you can print off. But for those of you that do have access and would like to edit it, I'm going to show you how to do that now. So I'm going to scroll down here and we've got two versions of our Core First communication book, a 6x6 and a 7x9 grid. I'm going to go for the 6x6 and I'm going to open that up. So first thing we'll have here is a page that will talk about how you can put that book together once you've printed it. But if I scroll through on the pages panel, you'll see that we've got a bunch of different pages here. So we've got our core words page, which is always going to be our first page. And you'll notice that we've got tabs on the side. So the next page, we've got a personal page, and then we've got the rest of our kind of core words and other some fringe vocabulary as well. So we've got things like descriptions, and we've even got pages of quick fires here. We've also got some ready-made topic pages here that you can use, or we can also create our own. So I'm going to show you how to do some of this. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm just going to come back up to this personal page, which is going to be the second tab, and I'm just going to add in some vocabulary for my user. So let's say that I know that some of their kind of favorite items or terms, and I want them to be able to access quickly. And I'm just going to do exactly what I did before. Click, type in what I want to look for, hit enter, and I'm going to use this kind of edit in place to find the symbol that I want to find, or indeed go into my media or into the web search to find something. So I'm just going to come in here and make some edits there. So again, a nice, quick, easy way of doing that. And of course, I can continue to do that. I can use this properties panel just as I did before to do things like change the font, maybe make that font a little bit bigger, all of the exact same skills as before. I'm going to come down now to topics. So we've put some ready-made topics in here, and for those of you that are maybe not used this book before, or maybe you've experienced this in Snap, so these pages are the same kind of layout that we have in TD Snap. The way that we create our topic pages is we have a row up here at the top, which is for questions. Then we've got some, in orange, we've got comments, directions, statements, and then we've got positive in green and negative in red. And you'll notice that we've got a nice blank page here where you can come and create your own topic. So if we wanted to create something, I don't know, around the playground, we could create our own. So I could go ahead and do that and use the same skills as before. But I actually know that I've also got a really nice page that I've created in another activity. And I want to bring this into this book because I think it's going to really help support my pupil that I'm supporting today as well. So I'm going to come into this new page tab, and this time I'm going to select new page from an activity. And it's going to give me the option to choose from all of my activities that I've created. And I'm going to scroll through and find, it's the school book here. And it's going to show me the different pages that I've got in my school book. And I'm going to select this one. I know that I've created a nice topic page that supports my student in class. And I would like to bring that into this activity as well. So I've had the ability to create my own or bring something in that I've maybe created before as well. So that is showing you 3 different ways that we can create activities. We can create from scratch, we can use templates, we can use pages or activities from previous activities that we've created. And I've also showed you how we can use the editing place, the properties panel, using pages, and we've looked at some of those settings as well. I'm going to ask Charlotte to put in a little link to one of our YouTube playlists, which is basically a bunch of how-to videos, which is going to show you some of the stuff that I've done today. So if you kind of sit down tomorrow and try some of this and think, I've forgotten what Alice said, and there's some really nice short videos there. If you'd like to explore this in a little bit more detail, we've also got a course in the Learning Hub, which again, we'll give you a link to, which will take you through in a little bit more detail of how to create some of these activities. I'm going to stop here. So thank you very much for joining us today, and I hope you found it useful.